after nearly 10 years of APC administrations in power, critics say there's been a failure to breathe new life into the economy. The country is still haunted by high unemployment. The electricity pinch is still as chronic as ever. The roads are still broken. Poverty is deepening, and cobwebs brush against the faces of those who visit the great factories that once made cities like Kano in the northwest and Aba in the southeast great commercial hubs. So, as Nigerians take stock, questions are being asked about what has happened to first the promised change and subsequently the renewed hope agenda that was supposed to engulf the nation between 2015 and now. Why is it that the winds of transformation appear not to be blowing quite so hard? Well, let's talk to the man charged with rebuilding Nigeria's crumbling infrastructure and whose success in this critical area would boost President Tinubu's popularity tremendously. I'm suitably delighted to welcome the Minister of Works and former Governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi, who was, until his ministerial appointment, a senator. How nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
I mean, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's just really very interesting reading all the things that you've done. I mean, you're an engineer, you were a deputy governor, you were governor, senator, now Minister of Works. I mean, how would you say that your political career has evolved?
Should I say my professional career, rather than
well, I suppose you could. Well, I mean, your professional career kind of ended with engineering, didn't it? The rest of it is political.
Well, I enjoy the professional aspect of my career more than the political aspect of it.
Really?
But I'm, grateful to God, and I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Well, for somebody who didn't just enjoy the political career, you spent quite a bit of time in it, haven't you?
It depends on what you call politics, because politics is about, service delivery. And, I'm happy that I use my profession to, deliver services to the public within the limit of my ability. Well,
let's then talk about that career, which has gone from being an engineer to, I mean, you ran several engineering firms, to now being the Minister of Works. You've been in office since August 2023. How has that been for you?
Well, first, grateful to God Almighty for the opportunity, and thankful to Mr. President for the confidence and the opportunity to serve the country at a larger scale. Quite challenging, quite, it's quite challenging. It's an opportunity to be properly and totally exposed to the challenges, of Nigeria in terms of road infrastructure. And so I'm very happy that the president gave me that ministry to serve.
You don't think it's just too challenging? Because, I mean, virtually every road in Nigeria, I mean, I was looking at your documentation of it. Virtually every road you inherited was broken.
Yeah, I'm very happy that, I have quite a challenging job. And when I look at my past, and with, gratitude to God, I've never failed in any, challenging situation I found myself. So I believe that this one will come and pass with success. I believe strongly that, I'm going to succeed.
Well, I mean, success is a fairly broad term. I mean, can you say or point to tangible, verifiable, empirical achievements since the time you became minister?
That's so much. First, it's the character and content of the man that, gave us this job. A man of courage. I always say to him, you're a divine president, judging from the way the election went, judging from the way you emerged, because you surmounted a lot of obstacles like the redesign of the naira, scarcity of fuel, scarcity of funds, and then you emerged. And meaning that at every point in time, God sends people, nation, to help the nation. And I believe strongly that the president, at this point in time, sent by God to help the country. And I will say that with emphasis in the fact that he has taken a lot of hard decisions. And there is none of these hard decisions ever failed. And so when you ask what are the tangibles are very obvious. The renewed hope agenda of Mr. President is reconstructing, a number of our roads. There is new hope in the way we construct our roads. There is a new hope in the way we manage our roads. There is a new hope in the critical infrastructure on road sector that we have embarked on. And as this progresses, I'll be able to mention quite a number of roads and what we are doing on such roads.
Yeah, in fairness to you, we will take it in chunks, because I mean, you're going to be here with us for the whole program. But I wonder what it's been like for you coming from a state, Ebonyi State. I mean, you were recognized in that state, credited with doing lots of infrastructure projects. What it's like coming from that, which is kind of a microcosm, miniature, to the federal level, where you're trying to replicate pretty much the same thing.
Well, I can say that it's much, bigger works, but the principle is the same, because I wasn't an office governor. I spent over 70% of my time in the field. Most of the projects in Ebonyi State were designed by me, by the inspiration of God. Because I believe strongly that when you have your mind working for the people, God will enable you to do things you were not trained to do. And I've always quoted, one verse, when the people of God were building the Tower of Babel. And then, God said, there's nothing the mind of a man that says to achieve that I will not achieve. That's why I confuse them with different languages. So it's about the passion. It's about setting your mind on what you want to do. And God will enable you to do things ordinarily you would have been able to do. We did a lot of things. When I look back at our international airport, I used to ask myself, how did this thing come about? I look at the mall, how did it come about? I look at the concrete road, and it can only be by God. And so here again, it's the same thing that's happening. I have passion for that. And I draw inspiration also from the man who is at the driving seat, Mr. President. He's a man of courage, and he has given us all the support. There's no decision we ever took in Ministry of Works in terms of the new policies to drive his agenda that he ever reversed. So it means that we have the confidence to drive his agenda. There is no interferences, there is no big manism, there is nobody that comes to Mr. President has said this or that. He has given us free hand, and so anybody who wants to, succeed, will definitely succeed with this kind of man. And of course, he has also vast in infrastructural development, and you can take it from where he was the governor of Lagos State. So we are also lucky, to be following a man who has love for infrastructure, because that's a catalyst for development of any nation.
Of course, you mentioned concrete just a minute ago. That's one of the innovations that you are credited with, the use of concrete to build roads in Nigeria, which you said would make the roads last longer and, perhaps more importantly, would be cheaper. But some have challenged that assertion, suggesting that the use of concrete is much more capital intensive. What's your response to that?
Well, I'm not the inventor of a concrete road in Nigeria. I credit that to Mr. President. When he was governor of Lagos State, there are challenges of water table in places like, Lekki and, Victoria Island and, those axes, have very high water table. And so Ashfar will not do well. And so he started using what is called interlocking ties. And this is another kind of, concrete road. And so till today, those roads are still standing. I was in Paris, and most of the roads were done with, interlocking ties. And as you go in, it will be making noise. And when people ask me, I say, if it's making noise so that you don't slip off while driving. But taking it back home, we are doing a different kind of concrete road, different from interlocking. And of course, we also do fear of interlocking some of our roads, especially the roads that are not highly trafficked. And so you now say, look, the concrete road is very suitable, especially where you have high traffic, where you have, very high water table, where you have very poor substructure, then the use of concrete is very important. And the concrete road will always last more and much more than asphalt road.
Right, but it's not cheaper. I suppose your argument is that in the long run it is cheaper.
Well, it depends on, what you're doing. The concrete road I'm doing, in some locations are much cheaper than asphalt road.
Right.
And when you are doing concrete road in places like the River Rhine, where you do a lot of sand filling, of course it could become, more expensive. But when you put it side by side, are you building this road to fail? Because we have a problem of failure of our roads. So we continue to condemn leaders without looking inwards on ourselves. President Buhari did not go to, construct the road. People did it. But unfortunately, I found out that it's very difficult to get any road in this country built that with asphalt that is lasting up to 15 years. It's difficult. And the deferred liability period upon which you will hold contractor accountable is only 1 year. And you now begin to condemn FEMA and say, FEMA is doing nothing because...
Yeah, but that's why they're the experts. They should be telling Nigerians what you're telling them now.
Which people?
You came and discovered that the use of asphalt has a shelf life.
It's a collective responsibility.
That is
limited. But how did we, we fought almost all segments of the society. But the president, because of his antecedents and experience, and his exposure backed us that look, concrete road is much better in comparison. In some locations, even as we are talking, it's cheaper than asphalt. And again, are you constructing roads with asphalt so that, even if it is cheaper, then it doesn't have shelf life of up to 15 years? So cost should not be the much, to emphasize on. But remember, Rise, that when the coastal road started, there was a lot of noise about it.
Well, I was going to pick you up on that.
I was in Arise,
right,
and I ran the figures, and in fact, at a point, Arise, they were begging me to stop because
I doubt that.
No, that is a fact.
I doubt if somebody at Arise would be begging you
that is a fact.
To stop.
Most
of the people here have all their facts at their fingertips.
You can ask Abati, and Rufai, of course, was on me on the figures. Two of us were slugging it out. But my accounts are very clean and clear, as far as our roads are concerned.
Well, it's not even so much whether the money is being correctly applied rather than corruptly applied. I mean, that's one issue, but that's not really so much the issue. I mean, that's a mammoth project, the Lagos-Calabar highway, which will cost trillions of naira. However you fund it, because you're saying that a lot of it is coming from...
There's an impression I want to make. I was in the Court of Appeal today to deliver paper on infrastructure. And I listened to SA and Kano Agabi, and he's talking about the way we demarket this country. Everybody is talking about corruption. There is so much suspicion and so on and so forth. That is not very good for our country. It's not the way to fight corruption. Everything our leaders are doing must not be viewed with the eyes of corruption. That is very important.
So how should we view it?
You have to view it. You have to give the person the benefit of the doubt. You understand? Because you have not even understood what is going on.
Yeah, but
the conclusion is corruption.
Surely you can't deny or reduce the impact that corruption has had on this country.
What is corruption?
Well, corruption is the use of funds, the diversion of funds, the use of funds incorrectly, the mismanagement
and it applies to everything.
No, it's not about everything.
You nearly did not come on time here. Do you understand this corruption? Where you failed to do what you're supposed to do.
What do you mean I nearly didn't come on time? That's below the belt.
I came ahead of you.
But that's not the point. That's because I had to make corrections to the script. I was around.
Give leaders of this country benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of people like Mr. President, who is fighting corruption without, shouting corruption.
Yeah, but can I make this point? The issue
ahead.
I was trying to raise, I said that is not what I was going to talk about specifically, although peripherally that will obviously come up. The criticism against that Lagos-Calabar highway, I mean, and the criticism, as I'm sure you know, is almost as massive as the project itself. And I'm sure you've heard this many, many times before. But many people keep wondering why you should put so much money into one new project. Yes, it's got, ancillary routes and all the rest of it that'll affect many parts of the country. But they're saying that money could be used to fix so many broken roads across Nigeria, which would offer more mitigation and short-term gain, especially at a time of great economic despair. You see, you're a politician. It's not so much the fact that you're doing something, it's also the optics, the perception of the public. You talked about corruption. Sometimes there may not be corruption, but there is the public perception that there is corruption when projects are being done that don't seem to make logical sense to the public. And they're saying, well, why are there so many broken roads in Nigeria? Why are we building a new one? And I know you've heard that before. I wonder if you've had a rethink at all on all that criticism on this Lagos-Calabar sort of highway.
Well, this is a new dimension of the criticism because, sometimes people darken knowledge, darken a council without knowledge. And so when you were not part of burying of a corpse and you want to exhume the corpse, you start, from the leg. And it's exactly, what you allude that people are saying. But let me tell you something.
People are saying.
Yeah, let me tell you, nobody has told me this. But this legacy project of Mr. President, they are not just road projects. They are investments. And they come with a lot of economic,
we understand that.
Yes. And now, the critical roads that we are doing, we inherited. We've selected a number of critical roads, between 9 and 15 roads, per zone. Don't forget that we inherited 2,064,
Indeed.
roads. A total of 19,000 kilometers, with a total cost as at that time, 13 trillions.
Yeah.
That if you review now, it will come to about
16 trillion.
16 to 20 trillions now, okay? Now, what we are doing, let us take the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. What are the benefits? As of today, taking one aspect, the Apapa, wharf. We have a very shallow, wharf there that the big ship cannot bed there. So we spend a lot of dollars on daily basis to transload. But with this road now connecting the Apapa wharf, then down to Lekki Beach, okay, where we have the deep sea port being built right now. It's a beautiful place, and I recommend that you should go and look at what is going on there. Now, it becomes very easy to transload for the ship to come straight and bed there. And then we are saving millions and millions of dollars on daily basis. Now, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, it is not only a road, but we're going to have a lot of windmill energy. We're going to have to connect all the communities. Everywhere this road passes is an economic corridor. We are building residential houses, we're building factories, we are building industries, and we are connecting the roads to the existing one. The president, more than ever, and I've never seen another president that did it, did not drop any of the projects when he came on board. We manifested all of them, and he's been doing all of them. But the truth is that road projects are not done in 1 year. They are not done overnight.
That is true.
And so these projects that inherited, we are redesigning a number of them. And with the floating of the Naira and with the removal of fuel subsidy, we also have another set of challenges that all the inherited projects were now, being faced with, review of the prices, which is in the right of the contractors. So my take is that the legacy projects, 4 of them, Lagos-Calabar, 750 kilometers. You have Sokoto-Badagry. The Sokoto-Badagry has a lot of economic corridor. You have 68 dams along that corridor, which you're going to, you have irrigations, you have millions and millions hectares of land along that corridor. And that's what Mr. President has planned. He's going to leverage on that corridor to do massive agriculture. And I commend him for what he did in Brazil, where people signed MOU immediately to come and invest in our livestock. So that is helping. You see the one that comes to Trans-Sahara, they come all the way from Calabar, passing through Ebonyi, passing through Benue, Kogi, Nasarawa, down to Abuja. You now see the one that is from Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe. So you can never say that these projects are not relevant projects.
Minister, you see, the point is that you're making a very articulate point, and nobody can question that. But your point is a theoretical point. It's not. It hasn't happened.
Oh, it's happening.
No.
How do you mean?
No, what I mean is
construction is going on.
No, I understand
yes.
that, but what I'm saying is that the plans, as you have laid them out now, in a very comprehensive manner, have not manifested yet.
Can I tell you something?
They are in the process of manifesting.
Can I tell you something? Right. The Abuja-Kano road is 375 kilometers dualized, which is 750 kilometers. Okay, 6 lanes. Okay, the Sokoto to Zamfara to Katsina to Kaduna is 350 kilometer dualized, which if you multiply by 2 is 700 kilometers. So I don't know what you mean by these projects are ongoing as inherited, and these ones are going on now.
Yeah.
We have these projects, the 3 of them are going on. We are redesigning the Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe. We are redesigning it on concrete so that it can have a shelf life of between 50 and 100 years. So where is the theory aspect of this?
No, what I'm saying is that you were talking about dams and houses that were being built. You were talking about the economic benefits.
Of course.
And I would say
because the roads are investment.
We understand that. Yeah. What I'm saying is that you're talking about potential benefits. Because those benefits have not happened yet.
Why are you rebuilding the existing roads?
No.
There are also benefits there.
All I'm saying is that for a lot of people, they feel that there are roads that they can see and that they are using now that are still very
bad. Tell me one that is very bad that we are not giving attention.
Well,
tell me one.
It's for you to tell us the ones that you're doing and the ones that you're not. I mean, the point is that a lot of people have said...
All the roads within the economic corridor of this country are being done by this administration.
Right. Well, I've been to places like Enugu, for example, and I have seen quite a lot.
Which road is that?
Quite well. I mean, the Lagos Enugu Port Harcourt road there. I mean, when you get on it, I don't know which section you're in because you may have started from the other end. I don't know.
Enugu Port Harcourt.
But certainly from the end of Enugu going to there's nothing going on there.
There are 4 sections of the road. Yeah. And you have section 1 that is coming from Port Harcourt down to Aba. We have a contractor there that is CCECC.
Right.
And that project, I can tell you, is about 67% done. It's ongoing.
Okay, well, I haven't come from the Port Harcourt.
Yeah, because that's why I say that sometimes people that can cancel without knowledge, because I have the knowledge.
Well,
I have the
Enugu to Port Harcourt, and there's nothing going on there, and I've been on it.
But I'm telling you that things are going on there. Even that from Port Harcourt down to Aba is being redesigned and is being reconstructed. We now put concrete by the shoulders and then do the carriageway on asphalt. Then within Aba itself, you have just about 8.5 kilometers being done by Arab contractors. And that job will be finished latest by February. Right. And then you now come to Lok Banta, which is at the end of Enugu axis. Under Mr. President, we had collapsed, twin bridges there. Today, that bridge is being rebuilt by Mr. President, and it's over 95% done. Never done. It never happened anywhere. In fact, it's the same time that we had the Shandam Bridge that collapsed. Mr. President gave an order, and they said, Minister, you must finish the 2 projects within 1 year. And we are beating the record. And then that section, what is left of that section is about 61 kilometers. and it is in 2025 budget. So we believe strongly that by May we should have a total Enugu-Port Harcourt full carriageway both sides.
By May 2025?
Yes, I was there. I came through there on Monday, and it's a beauty to behold. So you are just talking about one road now.
Well,
if you give me another one,
I'm just giving you one. What about East-West Road?
East-West Road.
Yeah.
East-West Road starts from Lokoja, Lokoja to Calabar. And so when you start Lokoja to Benin, you have 4 sections there. And we inherited this project.
Yes, you
now
did.
The first section there is done by a company Chinese company called by CGC. The second company is done by Mothercat. The third section is done by Dantata and Soho, and the last section being done by RCC. I wasn't satisfied with the games of 3 companies, so I terminated them. And Mr. President has directed that we should first complete one carriageway. And so we have rescoped it, and we have gone to BPP to get no objection, so that we have competent contractors that can complete that section. So it's part of this West Road. It's not abandoned, it's ongoing. Okay. And then you get to Benin. The Benin to Warri has 3 contractors. You have the Levant, you have the Guild, you have the SKCC. Now this section is so bad. The water table is so high, and then you have also the subgrade is also the soil. CBR is very poor, and so we had to redesign it on concrete. And that is ongoing, and the people of that area are very happy. When you move down to Wele, you have about 5 washouts. We've reintroduced, 14, relief culverts, and we are rebuilding about 3 kilometers of that section on concrete. And so, but you have seamless, passage until you get to Bayelsa. At Bayelsa, you also have about 4 washouts where we've introduced about 16 relief culverts, and Cetraco is at the last lap of that job. Then you progress and come into Port Harcourt, Eleme Junction. And between Eleme Junction and One Port, that is the worst, section of that road, and is the most trafficked section of the road. The president is giving very serious attention on that road. I recall that last 1 month, he directed the NSA and myself and the GC CEO of NNPC to look into that project with the view of completing it in April. I don't want to mention RCC because they think I'm not, happy with them. But I've given them 7 days to mobilize in 4 sections. If they don't do that, I will terminate that project. And they give it to about 2 competent contractors. But don't forget that we redesigned it because it was awarded on asphalt, but we redesigned it. And then you progress down to Eket. We are doing bypass so that the road the traffic will lessen. You can have a seamless travel between the carriageway. So we are bypassing the distance so that you don't go through the town. And lastly, we have the Akwa Ibom to Cross River. There are 3 contractors. You have the Samatek indigenous contractor is doing very well. And Mr. President has directed that we must encourage indigenous contractors who are doing well. He has the Watijin concrete paver and he's using concrete on his own section. You have the Julobeja. We have terminated the job of Julobeja because we could not agree on price review. And then you have the CECC that are also doing very well. So that's the East-West Road. Right. So you can agree with me that there is no critical roads within the economic corridor of this city. Sometimes you look at state roads, even local government roads.
People do confuse them.
Exactly, exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, even though Mr. President believes that there is nothing like state road or federal road, that all roads belong to Nigerians and that they should be, attended to.
Okay. We'll come back in a minute. Let's take a short break. Okay. You're watching Arise Prime Time. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with a man charged with rebuilding Nigeria's federal road infrastructure across the country, the Minister of Works, David Umahi. Stay with us. Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Anyegolu, and the quest for infrastructure development in Nigeria seems to be never ending. The man charged with making sure that federal roads are working in this country is the Minister of Works, Engineer David Situation-Umahi, who is a former senator and former governor of Ebonyi State. He is still with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. You talked earlier about the challenges that come from the floating of the naira, for example, and obviously the consequent current tough economic climate. I would imagine the falling value of the naira affects your budget. And I wonder how difficult it's become for you to meet your targets as a result.
Well, you know, I've often watched some opposition people that say, oh, the president is borrowing money. Every nation that wants to develop must borrow for infrastructure. And that is what the president is doing. When the National Assembly gave us a budget in 2024 of 1 trillion, it was sounding very, very high. But the truth is that I call it palliative, budget. And so without what Mr. President is doing, reaching out, beyond the traditional way of budgetary funding, it would have been very difficult.
In other words, you're borrowing money to fund those projects.
It's not just borrowing money. We have to borrow money to do this project. For example, in 2025, my budget for critical infrastructure, within the economic corridor is about 3.9 trillion. That's what I'm looking for. And I've had this discussion with Mr. President, severally. And the idea that Mr. President directed is to get a number of these critical routes and then complete them and then deploy them. And we are also using a program that we call HDMI. I will come to that. So we have to encourage Mr. President to borrow money and they do this critical road infrastructure. My happiness is that the legacy project is under EPC plus F, which means that there is external funding. And there is very huge return on investment because we have to tow these routes. We have to use the lands we acquire along the
Right. So they're all going to be tolled roads.
Yes, going to be tolled road. And the beauty of it is that the idea of Mr. President about federal roads is that every of this route is completed. You have to have solar light in it. You have to have CCTV. No more blocking of the road, security-wise. Then there will be 10 minutes response time, which means that there will be relief stations where the security people will stay and monitor what is going on so that we can return, night travel time, as it was before. So this is the new policy that Mr. President has directed Ministry of Works that they have to do. So my idea is that the public, and of course I was National Assembly today, and I told them, if you want to make an omelette, you have to strike an egg. You cannot be, kissing and be vomiting at the same time. We need to bring in external funding to do these roads. And the roads, as being done now, are roads that will last between 50 and 100 years. So there will be less maintenance, and that's why it becomes very, very, profitable. That some of these roads under HDMI, operate and maintain, will be very profitable, so that Nigerians will begin to have, return on investment. There will be money coming from these roads into the national treasury, for Nigerians.
Well, you can understand why Nigerians are always enamored of the concept but disillusioned with the application, because they've had experiences in the past where things were said. I mean, there were articulate people like yourself in the past who said things, and those things never happened. I mean, from electricity to roads to all kinds of stuff. So people want to wait to see the things that you're talking about.
Yeah, but
when
because somebody got drowned in the river, does it mean people should not drink water from the river?
No, that's not the...
well, we have to borrow money to do this road.
We understand that, but we want to see those things happen.
Oh, yeah, but you are seeing what is going on now. We've seen the very
we're hearing you telling us about what is going on.
Yes,
because they want to see those things completed and see the benefits coming out of
no, they're already
and they'll
there.
clap for you.
No, people are already clapping for Mr. President because the intention is there, even if these roads are not yet completed. But my people used to say that the way a worker that is called to come and work we know that, he'll be treated well. We start from the morning water they give to you when you start work. So the intention of what we intend to do is being seen all over the country by the quality of the roles that Mr. President is doing.
Well, do you think you owe an explanation to Nigerians or only to the president who appointed you? Because I noticed that you keep mentioning the president.
Because I draw a lot of inspiration from him. And the ones that he has directed, I have to mention his name. The ones that we are doing, based on our own experience, we also say it the way it is. So, and we mention him because he has been through all this. When you've been a governor in a place like Lagos State, you've been totally and fully exposed. And so I'm not mentioning him for what he has not done or what he didn't instruct,
Well, let's turn to, given this, clearly the respect you have for the president, the fondness you appear to have for him. Let's turn to an area of politics, and the Southeast in particular, where, for instance, your closeness with him could potentially make a difference. And I wonder how much difference that has made. Because one of the issues that continues to rub people up the wrong way, especially those from that part of the country, is the continued detention of the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu. Where do you stand on that issue?
It's a security matter. I don't want to comment on it.
Well, surely you must be able to. There are lots of politicians, there are lots of people in the National Assembly and so on who comment on it. A lot of people have made the argument that it is in the interest of the federal government and in the interest of peace and stability in the Southeast, which clearly you want to see. That's where you come from. It is in the interest of peace and stability to release him, because that would help restore normality to the region, which would ultimately be a credit to President Tinubu.
Yeah, but I want to tell you something. You see, the National Assembly is an arm of government. It is very wrong for an appointee of Mr. President, especially when you have, given your opinion in a matter between you and Mr. President, then you come in the public to talk about it. It's for me, it's disrespectful and it's unprofessional and unethical. I was a governor, and I wouldn't love it if somebody did that to me. So I wouldn't want to comment about it.
So basically, you don't want to comment on the fact that you feel that it would have a good impact on the troubles in the Southeast if somebody like that.
I say I don't want to comment about that. That if you have had a discussion with your boss, whatever may be the outcome of that discussion, it should be between you and your boss. And that's why when we pick, our out of office paper, and then you now read through it, people undermine that out of office. But it's very important to fall back on that, So
what does the oath of office
when
say
you discuss a matter with, your principal, you don't have to start disclosing it to the public, unless if it is required by law to do so.
Yeah, but you don't have to tell us what you discussed with the president. You're simply telling us where you stand on the issue of Nnamdi Kanu's
Supposing I have discussed that with him, and I say I don't want to make it public.
Right, okay. Well, let's move on from there. Let's talk about another aspect of politics that's raging at the moment, and that is the issue of power rotation. Not even so much between the North and the South, but particularly the exclusion of the Southeast in that consideration. You declared your intention to run for president in 2023. You also said you left the PDP for the APC because the PDP wasn't being fair to the Southeast in its political calculations for 2023. And yet the APC that you defected to also denied the Southeast what many saw as the turn of the Southeast at the presidency. Would it be fair to say that you were frustrated by both the PDP and the APC in that regard?
I'm a very happy person with the outcome of 2023 choice of president. And you have to know that, power is never given. We declared intention, but we had a meeting, the Southern governors had a meeting, and we didn't say, look, the next president must come from Southeast or from Southwest or from South-South. We say the next president must come from South. And we had a very transparent, primary, and the best came on board. And I see the finger of God in his coming, and there are a lot of benefits, that are accruing to Southeast. And I'm happy to say that when I came on board, as a Minister of Works, I checked, and I couldn't find projects in Southeast. Today, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have projects in Southeast. And I also, give him kudos in the fact that all over the country, the issue of farmers, headers, a crisis is almost becoming a thing of the past. When I was a governor, there is no week. In fact, under my notes, 17 of our people were slaughtered in one night. But since he came on board, no single person has been killed in the entire Southeast, and it's happening also in most other parts of the country. So that is the right choice for the country. And at the time of God, Southeast will take their turn. But the most important thing for leadership is the development, equity, justice, and fairness.
But that's not. That's the whole point, that people say it's not fair and it's not just. I mean, people say that the continued relegation of the Southeast is not fair and it's not just.
I want to tell you that Southeast people appreciate the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I'll give you an example.
I mean, you appreciate the leadership?
No, Southeast people.
Because, I mean, you're benefiting directly from it. You're the Minister of Works.
So the appointment is about personal benefits?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm
making
the point that you are benefiting.
You are the one that is alluding, you have to prove it. And you see, that is where the minds of our people are.
Well, it's not
and it is skewed about self-benefit. You are not looking at the benefit that the Minister of Works is bringing, to the entire country, and in particular to Southeast, where he came from. You are not looking at that benefit. Well,
actually, talking about things in the Southeast, I was looking at your rundown of projects, and I was looking, for example, at the emergency projects, a lot of which you're working on, provided for in the supplementary 2023 budget to address repair work, which would cost something like, I don't know, hundreds of billions of naira. I mean, let's take the Southeast, for example, and the South-South. I noticed that a lot of the roads that are being fixed are linked to your state, Ebonyi State. I mean, there's Enugu-Abakaliki Road. Abakaliki is an Ebonyi State. Afikpo-Okibo Road. Afikpo is an Ebonyi State. Nkerefi in Enugu State to Oha-Ozura in Ebonyi State.
Nkerefi is in...
No, Nkerefi is in Enugu State, but Oha-Ozura is in Ebonyi State.
Which I don't know a place called.
Well, it's in your. Maybe it's the way I'm pronouncing it, but it's in your list.
Yeah.
And in the South-South,
yes.
Obubra in Ebonyi State to Cross River, Abomege to Obosi in Ebonyi State. I mean, there seem to be a lot of roads connecting Ebonyi State that are being fixed. You see what I mean? And people are going to wonder, like, is it just Ebonyi State that has the connections to all the other places?
Yeah, the problem you have is that you just singled out Ebonyi State.
I had to look at you're from Ebonyi State.
No. You've not looked at Owerri Onitsha Road. You've not looked at Umuahia. I'm coming. You've not looked at Aba. You've not looked at the road from Umuahia to Ikotekbene, Aba Ikotekbene.
I looked at that.
You've not looked
what
at
struck
the old,
me was that the preponderant majority of roads that were being fixed are linked to Ebonyi
That's not
State.
correct. Let me tell you what happened. Before I came on board, there were 260 projects that the controllers of all the states compiled. That was older than me. And that's where these projects were. And they were compiled, on the basis and the quality of roads, in each of the geopolitical zones. And when you come to Southeast, you also find out that these roads are also distributed. Now, when you talk about Afikpo to Okiwe, you talk about Afikpo in Ebonyi State, a small portion, then you go to Abia State, and then you go to Imo State, which is Okiwe. You talk about Obobra, to Cross River, okay? These are all existing roads. Then you talk about the road that is passing from Enugu to Abakaliki. Right. That is going to Ogoja, which is in Cross River. So the projects were equitably distributed. But there is nothing wrong if you isolate Ebonyi State and you now say, okay, this road is passing. So these are all interconnecting roads. Okay, so if you now isolate Ebonyi State, you now find out that they are either starting Ebonyi or ending Ebonyi. But that is not the way.
I just noticed that the name Ebonyi was figuring in a lot of the roads. You see what I mean? Whereas you'd find, I mean, it wasn't like all the roads are all kind of interlinked, but each one was linked.
The good thing is that it's not for personal benefit, right? As you were alluding, but that is not correct. The roads in Southeast. Well, the roads in Southeast. I can tell you something. The roads in Southeast, Ebonyi has the least. For example, the Sukuk, fund. Yes. Ebonyi has nothing in it. I signed it. The Sukuk funds were distributed. Let me tell you the major projects in Southeast that they have the reasonable funding.
Very briefly, because we're almost out of time.
You have the
1 hour is gone.
Enugu Onisha Road. You have the Owerri. Onisha Owerri Road, you have the Port Harcourt Enugu Road, you have the Enugu Abakaliki Road. These are the roads we are emphasizing. And these are roads that are critical to Southeast people. And so there is nothing like what you're alluding to.
Well, I mean, so quickly, just one method of funding the roads. I mean, there are other methods which
when you talk about the NMPC tax credit, it's known in Ebonyi State.
Yeah.
In fact, before I came on board, you hardly will see any federal road in Ebonyi State.
Well, the reason I'm saying this, I mean, we're almost out of time, and I apologize. It's been absolutely brilliant talking with you. But, I mean, I wanted to ask you because, they say charity begins at home. And, I mean, if you're not doing things for people at home, I wonder how they would react to you, because I mean, you once
declared. I cannot single out Ebonyi State.
Well, I mean, you
Southeast and
no, I know, but charity begins at home.
No, I don't do that.
I mean, you once declared your intention to run for president of Nigeria. You even actually tried in the 2023 election. You made that declaration after reportedly consulting with President Buhari, just days after the Bola Tinubu that you talk about now declared that he would run. So you were prepared to challenge him in that presidency. I mean, do you still have, obviously he's the president now, you're not. Do you still have that presidential ambition?
I'm very happy with what I'm doing.
So you're happy to not to be president?
I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm happy, and I continue to offer my services within the limit of my destiny and calling. So.
Right. Somebody was whispering something in my ear, but I can't make head or tail of what
is he telling you?
What is the we're just hearing that the MD of Julius Berger has been asked to be arrested.
By who?
By the Senate.
Yeah, for failing to appear.
Right. Is that for failure to appear?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
We were all invited to come and give account of the what is the Oduopani in Cross River, the project.
Odupani.
Yeah, the project they were doing, and they didn't honor that invitation. Right. So it's within their mandates. It's not my business.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. You've been a very, very good guest, and we really appreciate your taking the time to talk to us for a whole hour about the issues that affect your ministry.
I hope I'm doing your route. And where's your route?
Don't worry, I'll send you a text message. Engineer David Umahi is a former senator, former governor of Ebonyi State, and the current minister.
I thought you were going to ask me the lifespan of these legacy projects, and I've always said
but you've talked about
7 to 8 years. Till 2031.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, let's try and make room for another conversation.
Thank you
very much indeed. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.